Welcome in, everybody, to the Fan2Fan Detroit podcast on the Planet Ant Podcast Network. I'm your host, Andrew Norris. This is my producer, producer Parker. First of all,
hey, everybody.
Excellent. I mean, that was a masterpiece that you just played for us right there.
Thank you. I agree.
What's going on, man? How's your quarantine? I know I'm going to ask you this every week because there's nothing else to ask you.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm doing okay. I'm doing well. I've been keeping busy. There's just enough things going on to keep me from the true impenetrable sadness and darkness that surrounds us at all times.
And we're both pretty elite at being able to just stay home.
I am custom built for quarantine.
If there was an NBA of staying home, we're competing for MVPs. We might not be winning MVPs, but we're competing.
I'm the Kobe Bryant of sadness. That's for sure.
It's a great way to say it. Well, we got a lot on the show for you guys today. We got news just from throughout the week. You know, pretty much what we have to do here is find what you guys are going to want to hear, but it's not easy right now because there's nothing to talk about really. So we're finding the more deep dive stuff, and we're going to go over that. So we got kind of a rundown or a new news for you, whatever you want to call it. We're going to go over that. There's been some really interesting stuff with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell we want to discuss, see what could happen there. And then, of course, this is Fan2Fan Detroit, so we will be talking about the Pistons, their potential draft, what they could do with it, and Michigan football and basketball recruiting. So we got a lot for you today. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. We're going to hate on some people. It is what it is. But Parker, you ready to get it? Yeah. Are you ready to get into it?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Cool. So first, the XFL.
Yeah.
It gave it its best shot. It went for it again. 20 some odd years later, Vince McMahon said, I have a great idea. Let's take the thing that didn't work, make it worse, and give it another try. And shocker, it didn't work. Now, was it because of the coronavirus, or was it because the XFL just isn't what people want, especially this time of year? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that they got screwed. They got hosed. They got but good by the universe, I guess. It's expensive to run a league. We're finding out that it's more expensive than I think we thought it was. There's some ominous signs coming out of the NBA. So it makes sense that a smaller league that wasn't as established, the XFL, would really struggle. It's because they never, they are probably operating in debt just to start,
Yeah. Well, I think we would have seen a second season had all of this not happened, everything with the quarantines and the coronas. I think we would have seen a second season, but I don't think we would have got much past that anyways. I think people really liked the idea of having an exciting new football league right after the Super Bowl, like the football diehards, the guys who just can't stop watching football. But I really just think the main sports in America are going to live and die with their current leagues, and that's how it's going to be. I don't think there's room for a number two with any of them because people don't want to watch lower talent levels, and if they do, they want to have an alma mater or a school to root for to make it worth it. People don't watch college basketball because the product is so great. People watch college basketball because people love the University of Michigan or people love Michigan State. That's why they're watching college basketball. You can't just take the talent level, put it 10 notches down, and then say, won't you guys watch us too? Because one, people are bored of football by this spring, including me. And the talent level is so low. It's the guys who can't even get practice squad invites.
Some of them, yeah. I think we've actually seen a couple of guys, now that the XFL is gone for good, be signed to NFL teams.
Sure.
And I think you'll notice it's good teams that are signing those players.
Right, and there's going to be a couple guys there who are like, okay, I'm a bottom 13 guy. I'm between 40 and 53 on that NFL roster. I need a shot where I can get some playing time because I know how good I am. There is going to be those guys, but I think those guys are more the exception to the rule than the rule. Because if you start getting to the 35th guy on an XFL roster, you're looking at a guy who would have been the 15th guy on an Ohio State roster. You're just climbing down the ladder. And people don't want to see it. If they don't have a reason to invest their heart into it, which I think the XFL didn't really give you a great one, then people don't want it. And I think you had this year and you might have had next year.
I think the idea of a developmental football league probably would have been good for the NFL. especially now that it seems like in the long term, younger children aren't playing as much football. Having another league for them to feed from, excluding the NFL or the college football scene, probably would have been good.
I explained.
Fair to say.
I explained this to you, or told you my thoughts on this right when the XFL was starting, where I thought the way the XFL should have been branding itself was one, a retirement league, which you probably wouldn't get much guys in football because if you're retiring, you're getting out of there. But that and a developmental league, you make it like the MLS of football. What the MLS is kind of trying to be for the rest of the world. You go there when you're old, or you go there when you're young, trying to be. Just like the XFL would have been trying to be, but I think that would have been their best shot, and they just kind of missed it. But good try, Vince McMahon. I'm not hoping you failure, but boy, I wouldn't be mad if the same thing happened to WWE.
I think they could have gotten a couple of years out of it. I think that there was enough there for football and European football, Canadian football. I mean, it's around. I think they could have. I think they could have gotten 5 years out of it. We'll never know. It is important to say that in the notice where they said they were shutting down, they didn't say it was forever.
That's true.
They just said it was, So I don't know. Maybe 5 years will be ready again.
Yeah, and again, if they could create a good league out there, I'm all for it. But right now, I just don't see it. Speaking of football and Vince McMahon, I don't know if you saw this, but on Sunday, Rob Gronkowski won the WWE 24/7 title. So that's a new one. I'm not sure if many people know what this is. This is a title that can be defended anytime, anywhere. Doesn't matter if you're on a show. Doesn't matter if it's Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can defend your title anytime, anywhere. Rob Gronkowski was the host of WrestleMania 30, whatever the hell it is. It's getting up there now. And 35, 36, yeah, 35. And he won the title. It looks like he's going to be hanging around WWE for a little bit. But to be honest, I don't really care about that. My question with Rob Gronkowski to you is, can Tampa pull him out of retirement? He's always said Tom Brady is his quarterback. Nobody else will be his quarterback.
No,
not even like a week 8. Get him out in week 8.
How good is he going to be?
I think he'd be a top 10 tight end in football, and especially in that offense where you can't really double team him all the time.
I mean, sure. I mean, if Tampa Bay is going to become the island of misfit champions, then sure, bring in Antonio Brown and bring in Rob Gronkowski.
Why would you not? Like, I get it. Antonio Brown's a little bit crazy. Rob Gronkowski, you probably can't get him back.
Medium crazy. But is least medium crazy.
If anybody is going to be able to handle those guys and get them to do what he needs them to do, it's Tom Brady. Every time. 10 out of 10 times I pick Tom Brady. But this one, it really got to me because I think this might be the worst copyright ever filed. What do you think about Tampa Bay?
I hate Tampa Bay. Love New Orleans, though. Love New Orleans.
New Orleans is great. I know. That should have been something since like 2007.
After his title run, how is it not Drew Orleans?
I think maybe we should just rename it Drew Orleans. I mean, that's really all we got coming out of there now besides Gumbo lately. But
damned, it's Drew Orleans.
Drew Orleans greater than Tampa Bay. We both agree. We're sitting on that. We're going with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
His name's not Drew. His name's Tom, and Tampa Bay is terrible. It sounds like the island where Willy Wonka got the whatever's from. He went over down to Tampa Bay.
Yeah. If they really run with that, if they run with Tampa Bay, 7-win team next year. You can't get over that. A team can't get over something like that. It's just too traumatic. It's too traumatic.
Divide the locker room.
All right, on to basketball. So this is, to me, maybe the most intriguing thing that's happened all week in sports. The thing that could have the biggest impact on the NBA for sure, outside of finding out when to play again. But Shams and a couple other people reported for Yahoo that the Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert relationship is unsalvageable. As you'll remember, Rudy Gobert, before everything with the coronavirus got extremely serious, he was doing a couple things after a press conference. He was touching all the mics. There's reports that he was back in the locker room touching people's faces and their personal belongings.
I didn't know that. That's messed up.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck on a ledge here where I kind of feel bad for him because I know it was just a dumb mistake. He didn't understand how serious it was at the time, and none of us really did. But also, just like use your brain and know that if it's at least getting serious, you should kind of tamper it down, calm down a little bit. But I do feel bad for him. This is going to be his legacy forever.
Well, yeah, it's the Rudy Gobert game, right?
This is a defensive player of the year, one of the top 5 centers in basketball. And for the rest of his life, he will be remembered as the guy who shut down sports.
What an asshole.
It's just like I just feel bad for him because nothing was intentional. It didn't have any.
Well, come on, because if he's like touching mics and touching stuff,
we've all made bad jokes. His bad joke just shut down $50 billion worth of corporations and companies.
I gotta push back here. I've never made a bad joke in my entire life. Only hits.
Only hits? Well, okay. Aside from Parker, all of us have made a bad joke. And this was Rudy Gobert's bad joke. Just our bad jokes, got somebody mad at us. His bad joke got sports shut down until the fall.
Yep.
But
it would have happened anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Let's be fair about it. It would have happened 3 days later, regardless. We had guys on the Nets have it. We had guys on the Lakers have it. I mean, the whole NBA, if you go through that web of teams playing teams, pretty much every team has, been around it or in that circle of infection, if you will.
There's a clip of Rudy Gobert like 2-hand dunking over Christian Wood, and then all of a sudden Christian Wood got coronavirus. I wouldn't want him on the Pistons.
The stat is something like Christian Wood guarded Rudy Gobert 48 times that night. And then, lo and behold, a week later, Christian Wood has it. So if you didn't think it was super contagious and you're not that worried about it, Christian Wood guards a guy in a basketball game a couple times and he's got it. So, but something about this. So is the relationship unsalvageable? We don't know yet. I guess we'll wait and see. Rudy Gobert did have some interesting comments about this to Taylor Rooks that we do have for you here that we just want to play.
Yep. I'm going to play it right now.
Have been very close. I know the team in general is incredibly close. Is there any truth to these rumors that are going on right now that you all's relationship cannot be saved and you weren't speaking and all of these things?
It is true that we didn't speak for a while after this, but we did spoke a few days ago, and like I said, we're both ready to go out there and try to win a championship for this team. It's all about being a professional, and everyone got different relationships. Everyone got it's never perfect. Married people that are married, it's never perfect. So me and my teammate, no, it's far from perfect. But at the end of the day, we both want the same thing, and it's winning. And and we both grown men, and we both gonna do what it takes to win.
Then have been very close.
Shut up.
So I have a couple quick takeaways from that. One, Rudy Gobert seems so not confident about what he's saying. He seems like he's trying to find the words to make it seem not as bad as it is because he knows he has time to fix it. He's got a couple months at least to fix this. But I don't buy it. I think that Donovan Mitchell is pissed. The news, sure, but that video tells me that Rudy Gobert is not confident that him and Donovan Mitchell will be able to play or work together again.
We said that Donovan Mitchell did get coronavirus, right? We mentioned that? Okay. Yeah, that's an important part of this. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, man. Would you want to play with Rudy Gobert again? I wouldn't.
Again, it kind of falls back to what we were just talking about. I'd be mad at the guy for like a little bit, but then I'd probably get over it because it was an accident. He was being an asshole, but he was being an asshole to be funny. Like there's a line. When you do something intentionally, that's when you can hold grudges. When something is done like just being silly and having fun, you got to get over it, man. You got to. And if something like a bad joke is what makes you not be able to work with somebody, then I feel like you got to kind of step up and just like put your head down and just get through it. Because I know you got a super infectious disease that's kind of tearing the world apart right now. Like I get that. But also, it wasn't intentional. So what's the point of holding the grudge? I don't know if it's the way my mind works, but I can't wrap my mind around that. It doesn't make sense to me.
My conspiracy brain says that he's wanted to get rid of Rudy Gobert for a long time, and maybe this is just the reason, like that he can go, here, this is why.
Now that would make sense from aspect of how we're talking about it, like a social aspect, I guess. But to me, that doesn't make sense basketball wise at all, just because Gobert is like a perfect fit with Donovan Mitchell. But if the relationship is sour, the relationship is sour. So I'm excited to see more come out on this. I want to hear Donovan Mitchell talk about it, because if Donovan Mitchell comes out and was like, I was mad, but we're okay, I'll believe that, because Donovan Mitchell has never been the guy since his rookie year to like not say what he's thinking. Ever since the rookie of the year controversy with him and Ben Simmons, he's been a guy who's going to say what he's thinking. He's going to do what he wants, but he's normally not like quiet and sneaky about it, which is what this kind of feels like. So I don't think anybody's going anywhere. Do you think one of these guys is gone?
I think that Rudy Gobert might be gone, if only because I think they can get a good deal for him. And if basketball's not coming back in the regular season this year, and I don't believe that it is, and if you're gonna do one of however many proposals, you've got 8 teams in the playoffs, and the Jazz missed the cut. This is a freebie. I think that you can look at this, if you're the Utah Jazz organization, as an opportunity, to trade high, to sell high on Rudy Gobert, somebody who we've seen, like, you can't play Rudy Gobert against the Rockets. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I don't think he's quite to the point where you got to sit him in the, like old Andre, where you got to sit him in the fourth quarter or anything like that. Like, you can play him against the Rockets, but he's just not going to be this all NBA level player against a team like that. So it does make sense. But let me throw something at you. This one's interesting to me, because the Bulls just hired a new GM. And it's time, when a new regimen comes in, they're normally going to clean house at least a little bit, get their own guys in there. So if the Bulls offered Lauri Markkanen and their 2021st for Rudy Gobert, what's your thoughts?
So their 2021st is going to be like what, like the 6th pick?
Yeah, 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that. It's in there.
It's tough to place values on this draft specifically, because it's kind of a weird draft, which we'll talk about. I mean, it's a strange draft,
right?
But I would do that. I would do that probably on both sides. I just don't know if we know if Markkanen's. I don't know. I think he was what most draft analysts thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I think we got that first half of his rookie season where we're like, oh, this guy could be a star. And since then, I've kind of come down a little bit, and I'm more on this guy could be your 4th guy on a good team, on a really good team. He could be your 4th guy on a really good team. Like, that's an awesome 4th guy, but he's not going to be your star. He's not a cornerstone to build around. And Rudy Gobert is one of those guys. Now, I hate building around a center, so I'm probably not going to do it if I'm the Bulls. But Zach LaVine, Rudy Gobert is a pretty cool duo that do like a lot of opposites of each other. So they fill a lot of the holes that the other one can't fill. Zach LaVine's not a great defender. He's a great offensive player, can shoot the jump shot, obviously can get to the hole, where Rudy Gobert is almost strictly defense and triple doubles with screen assists. So, I think that works for the Bulls. I love Gobert on the Bulls. I think that like that jersey fit, I always think about that for some reason, how a guy would look in a jersey. And I think Gobert in a Bulls jersey is a sweet look.
Are you one of those guys who, when trade rumors come around on Twitter, that you like Photoshop a guy wearing the team's jersey?
Okay, so if I knew how to Photoshop, I would. This is funny. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit because we're going to talk about Josh Christopher later. Don't worry, everybody. But last night, I went on Joshua Christopher's Instagram, and his header is a picture of Kobe doing, his playoff mean mug, and then Josh Christopher in his high school jersey doing a mean mug. Why did nobody, it's a yellow Lakers jersey, why did nobody Photoshop him in to a yellow Michigan jersey with the face and put it next to the Kobe one? He's 18. He would have fell for it. He would have 100% fell for it.
This is a segment called Andrew Yells at Basketball Twitter. We're gonna.
Yeah, sorry. This is gonna be once a week. I love you, basketball Twitter, but I hate you. Okay. So Gobert, there's a lot of places he could be traded. The thing I'm worried about is if it comes out that he has to be traded, the value will fall tremendously, which is where teams like the Mavericks could hop in, right? Kristaps, Rudy Gobert, Twin Towers down in the post. I love that. But again, the Mavs don't have a ton of assets, so the price would have to drop pretty substantially for something to that. Now, if you're the Jazz and you get a guy, I want to call it a Godfather offer, but it's like Godfather comparative to Donovan Mitchell from the Knicks. The Knicks run up to you. They say, hey, you can have Kevin Knox, our first-round pick this year. That's the number 6 pick. So the Knicks are number 6 this year. Our 2022 first-round top 8 protected, and then any role player on the team you want. So 2 first-round picks. The 2022 one is top 8 protected. Kevin Knox and any role player.
I don't think that matches their timeline. They're like timeline to win. I mean,
but if you're trading Donovan Mitchell, you're restarting your timeline.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, where is Kevin Knox? Like, what's the deal with Kevin Knox right now?
He is a guy who every time he's on the court, you go, that guy's going to be awesome. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, this is the worst basketball player I've ever seen. He doesn't know how to play basketball. He has every tool, every ability. He can do every little thing in the game you need him to do, but he just doesn't know how to do it at the right time.
You think that for somebody like him, getting a do-over in what I would say
out of New York,
a good ownership management system in Utah is going to be the thing that he needs?
You are going from shit to sugar. I mean, 100%.
Basically, so the Knicks first round pick this year is going to be what, like 3?
6. That's the 6 pick.
Yeah. So you're going to get maybe Obi, and
so,
I mean, does that seem worth it to you for Donovan Mitchell?
No, but if you have Donovan Mitchell in New York, you're going to be able to go, this free agency class sucks, but the following year you have Donovan Mitchell in New York, you can sign somebody. So really, I think what you're trying to do with those 2 first round picks is get those building blocks, not the cornerstones, but the building blocks, the guys who can be your 3rd and 4th best player on a team, which, Obi Toppin could turn into that. A guy like, I don't know, LaMelo Ball could turn into that. Tyrese Haliburton could turn into that. So you try to get one of those guys to match with Donovan Mitchell, and you start building from there. But, I mean, I think Donovan Mitchell is more valuable than the number 6 pick, Kevin Knox, in 2022 top 10 pick. It's a surefire all-star level player. He can score from anywhere on the court, has that dog to him, which I either hate it or love it when those guys have it. I hate it when it's the Pat Beverly style. I love it when it's the Donovan Mitchell style.
I love Beverly.
But I think the Jazz would probably say no to this deal. I don't think they're going to trade Donovan Mitchell. He's 24, 25 years old right now. He's super young. He's got a ton of room to grow. And he's a guy that, I can see guys eventually wanting to go play with because he is, like I said, he's got that dog. He's got that winner's mentality. He's not really ever going to stop giving it his all, which I think goes unnoticed a little bit in the NBA these days. And I think it's more important, especially player to player, than we know.
Donovan Mitchell, I think, could very easily be the 2nd best player on a title team.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe not right now. Yeah. Maybe not right now. Do you think right now?
Well, right now he's probably a 3rd, but I think he.
Yeah. Okay, that's where I'm at.
If the first guy is Giannis, then yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. No. Right now, if he had Giannis, but for him to be a 1B, I think we're a couple years away from that. But I do think it's coming. I do think we're going to see a season with 28 points a game and 6.5 assists, where he shoots 48% from the field and 35% from 3. I mean, he already took a huge leap in efficiency this year. He was really, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but he was very efficient this year. And that's the one thing that was missing from his offensive game when he came into the league. It's just a matter, we know the ceiling's high. It's just a matter of how high that ceiling is. Is he like a more of a CJ McCollum, but better? I think he's already better. But is he more of that guy, or is he more of a Damian Lillard? And I think Damian Lillard, but I think the next 2 years are really going to show us what that is. And I think if he is the Damian Lillard, you got to get over the Gobert stuff, bud. You got to.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
All right.
I will say this. The one thing I don't want is for the Celtics to end up with Rudy Gobert, because that's going to be some real big 2004 Pistons energy, and I don't want that. I don't want that.
Oh, I kind of love it. I kind of love it.
It makes a ton of sense.
But what's the trade? Because you have
delay in a contract.
What about Jaylen Brown straight up?
I don't think that makes him better.
The Celtics?
Yeah, I don't know. I like Jaylen Brown a lot. I think he's still got so much room left.
I know, but like Rudy Gobert's a defensive player of the year. Like that's one of the top 5 defenders in the league. Still, you know, he's one of the best offense
that every NBA team needs right now.
I guess the one reason I would agree with you is because I am all on board with you build around guards and forwards. You do not build around centers.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can get him without giving up Jaylen Brown.
Do you think that he would stab Gordon Hayward in the back?
And trade him?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually, you'd have to probably include Gordon Hayward in picks because you'd have to match the salaries.
Can you send Gordon Hayward back to Utah? Is that possible?
Yeah. I mean, I think all parties involved would be okay with it. I really do.
Yikes. Let's move on.
Gordon Hayward was a star in Utah, dude. I mean, there was only a big fallout with the fans in Utah and Gordon Hayward, and even that's been patched up since. I mean, people are pretty much over it. But let's move on. Let's talk a little bit of Michigan. We're going to talk both football and basketball today. But boy, as you can see at the bottom, the last 24 hours for Michigan was tough. David DeJulius is going to transfer. We know that's going to happen. Isaiah Todd is going to play overseas, the number 12 overall recruit in the country who was committed to come here and play. And Joshua Christopher, who had 93% of the crystal ball predictions on 24/7 Sports to come to Michigan, which is normally 93% is like they hit on that like 90% of the time. And he chooses
93% of the time?
93%. If it's 93% of the time they pick that place. And he chooses Arizona State. Almost immediately after that is when Todd decides to go, or like a couple hours after is when Todd announces he's going to be going overseas, and it just kind of falls apart. My heart goes out to Juwan Howard because I know how much time has now been wasted of his life. Those are the two guys where he was calling those dudes every day. He was probably sending them letters. Everything he could do to get those guys to come to the University of Michigan. I know he was doing it, and he was this close. Yeah, he was this close. This close. I mean, if you have those two guys, you go into next season as a top 5 or 6 team in the country to start the year. You have depth. You're losing a couple guys. You're losing Teskey. You're losing Xavier Simpson, who are two of the biggest parts of your team this season. But you're going to be able to replace those guys. You're adding Mike Smith from Columbia, who averaged 23 points a game last season. He's 5'11". He's a little shifty. He's got a nice little jump shot. He can kind of do it all. You still have Eli Brooks. You're adding Zeb Jackson and recruiting another 4-star guy, something like the 82nd ranked player in the country. So your guard rotation still looks good. You still have Hunter Dickinson coming in down low, which I think people are forgetting about a lot. The number 31 player in the country, a 7-foot tank in the paint. A tank. It's like if you put John Teskey on steroids.
Yeah, John Teskey.
So it's not all negative. Michigan is still doing good things. They will be able to live without these two players.
Oh, yeah.
But it sucked. It sucked, man. And
if we're about to usher in a new era of Michigan basketball, not anymore, I guess.
Yeah, no, but let me tell you why this could be a good thing.
Okay.
So Juwan Howard was going to be put, and this is kind of a week out, but it actually makes sense to me. Juwan Howard was going to be put in a position where he had 2 one and done guys leading his team with Todd and Christopher. Okay. And then he was going to have to go into next offseason and be able to recruit just as good because you're going to have some of the older guys leaving. You're going to have Livers probably in the draft, and you'd be losing those two. So you would probably have to recruit better. And if you went into next season and didn't perform, then those recruits are going to look at you like, okay, he can get the guys, but maybe he can't coach as well. Now you're in a position where all you can really do, even if you're a top 10 team to start the season, it's going to be hard to do anything but exceed expectations. So it almost, I don't want to say buys him another year because I don't think he needs that. He obviously doesn't need that right now. I think every Michigan fan is happy with Juwan Howard as of right now. This season wasn't perfect. It was obviously a learning process for him as a coach, but it was still good. This team was still really good.
We don't know there was no tournament, you know?
Yeah. And as Michigan does, they probably would have hit a little run in that tournament, but they beat plenty of top 25 teams. They had a lot of like hiccups, weird little losses, which I think is something that a new coach has to learn how to prepare for those lower level teams a little bit better instead of kind of brush them off, which is fine. But I think next year is the year that was really going to make or break him. And I think you just kind of push that a year further down the line, which I think is great because they're going to be a really good team next year.
Yeah, this is for all the cabbage. It certainly seems like a good team. They're going to be competitive. They're B plus at every position. Maybe
yeah. I mean, you got your starting lineup going into next year is probably going to be it's either Eli Brooks or Mike Smith at the point guard, which I'm very comfortable with either of those guys taking over for Xavier Simpson. You got Franz Wagner at the 2, which he showed out this year as a freshman. He's going to be awesome, and it seems to me like he's going to be probably a 3 or 4 year guy, but he's going to be like right on the cusp of an NBA draft pick for most of those years. So that's a perfect addition to have to your team. Isaiah Livers at the 3, who is going to be like a Big Ten Player of the Year candidate next year, probably. Brandon Johns at the 4, who took a huge jump. Huge. I mean, it went from not playing to 6 points, 4 rebounds, which in college, that's a big jump. And then at center, you're going to have the freshman Hunter Dickinson, who's just going to take up space and bully people. So I'm not selling my stock on Michigan basketball because they lost out on 2 big recruits. Juwan Howard is going to have plenty of time to get this done.
I think when you're recruiting recruits like that, it's a win some, lose some. You're not, and nobody's Duke. Duke's not even really Duke, although Duke is Duke.
Duke is Duke. Duke is Duke. Now, the one thing that probably pissed me off more than anything with all this, with the whole Joshua Christopher recruiting, is you 30 plus, we're just going to say 20 plus year old men on social media who feel the need to go into some 18-year-old kid who's trying to make the biggest decision of his life to go into his DMs or his Facebook or his Instagram, whatever you have, and yell at him and call him names. I saw somebody call him an attention slut. This dude was like 45. Do you want to know what Josh Christopher is? He's not an attention slut. He's a marketing genius.
Yeah, he's a brand.
He gained 15,000 followers yesterday. He was trending nationally on Twitter. He has now become one of the most, if not the most, probably the second or third most recognizable name in this recruiting class, which come draft time is an important thing. I say 2 thumbs up, Josh Christopher. Fool everybody, troll them, get your money, get your bread, because this is a long-term play to more bread later, and I'm all for it. But you old-ass men, get off of Twitter if you're going to be like that. You're a loser, okay? Look me in my eyes. You are a loser.
This has been Andrew Yells at Basketball Twitter.
2.0.
2.0.
2.0. I mean, for real, though. Like, have you seen these guys?
I know. It's the old saying, it matters more in Michigan. It matters maybe a little too much sometimes in Michigan.
Too much. The Michigan man is a disease for some. And I'm a Wolverine fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Walmart Wolverine. I wasn't smart enough to go there. But I'm not one of you freaks. And if you keep doing it, I'm going to keep yelling at you. So take this as a lesson.
Michigan certainly seems susceptible to viruses. Let's move on.
Let's do it. So
other Michigan. We're going to stay at Michigan, but we're going to swap sports.
So now this one I'm not going to be as positive about.
I'm pretty positive about this.
Jim Harbaugh took over a few years ago at Michigan with expectations that pretty much nobody could match. So I'm not going to hold him up to our original expectations. But in the time since, has accomplished nothing here. This team is no better than it was for Brady Hoke. It's better than it was for Rich Rod, but the recruiting is not that much better. And it seems like we've taken 0 steps or made 0 progress towards becoming a Big Ten contender. Jim Harbaugh started out his tenure here with one of the best recruiting classes in the country, especially in-state. And since then has fallen further and further and further every single year. He finally had, this week, he had his first good recruiting week in months, since last spring, really. He had his first good recruiting week where he got a couple commits for next year's class. But outside of that, he has done nothing. No Big Ten titles. He hasn't beaten Ohio State, a losing record to Michigan State. He has accomplished nothing. When Jim Harbaugh got here, I was brought to tears. I'm so young. The only good Michigan team I've ever seen was in 2006 when they got beat by Ohio State in the 1-2 game. I have never seen what all of the old heads talk about as like one of the proudest hardest hitting, toughest programs in the damn country. It hasn't been that. It's been a 1970s offense with a good to great defense, but they're soft as hell on offense, and they always have been. They play this old style, this ground and pound that's just never going to work. And recruits are starting to see it. The classes have fallen every year, just in state alone. In 2017, he had 7 of the top 8 guys in state and all of the top 6. Okay, then you go down to 2018, he's already down to 2 out of the top 4 guys. 2019, 0 out of the top 3. And this year, he's got a chance to miss out on 3 of the top 4 guys. 3 of them are still not committed.
Okay.
One of them from West Bloomfield's probably going to come, but the other guys from Clarkston don't seem like they're coming.
I'm gonna read you a long statistic. Everybody who put your statistic seatbelts on. In 2020, Jim Harbaugh had the number 2 recruiting class in the Big Ten, 14th in the nation. In 2019, he had the number 1 recruiting class in the Big Ten, number 8 class nationally, number 3 in 2018, 22 nationally, number 2 in 2017, 5th nationally, number 2 in 2016, 8th nationally, and then he had a really weird year with the whole Harbaugh thing where he was like 5th in the Big Ten or whatever. And 2 in 2014, 2 in 2013, 4th nationally, 20th nationally. What do you want? The problem is the coaching. It's not the recruiting. The recruiting is good. You can't recruit Ohio State. They're the second best team, third best team in football.
You have to out-recruit Ohio State. It's the only way you can beat them. And if we have a guy who's getting $10 million a year and can't recruit Ohio State, then it's time for him to go. I'm sorry, but this is a war at this point. There's Clemson, there's Bama, there's Ohio State, there's Oklahoma. If you can't become one of those 4 teams, you're not worth $10 million a year.
The thing about recruiting in Michigan is he's not recruiting in Michigan. He's going to IMG Academy. He's doing satellite camps that are getting shut down by the NCAA. He's recruiting out of Michigan. It doesn't make a whole ton of sense in the grand scheme of things to recruit in Michigan. If you look at not only the level of competition, but the number of schools he's competing with. There's more like good D1, like you got Central, Eastern, Western, Michigan State,
But none of those schools are recruiting high-level players. None of them. Not even Michigan State. Michigan State, I bet you Michigan State had like 2 4-star guys last year. Look that up for me because I'm curious. But none of those teams are any longer recruiting those top guys. State will probably jump back on it with Mel Tucker now. But at the last 2-3 years, even Michigan State has not been involved in recruiting those guys. Sure, the in-state guys, but you have to look at those classes more in depth. What they're missing is the stars. And not recruiting stars, even though I guess I'm technically talking about 5-star guys, but they're missing the game changers. They're missing the Trevor Lawrence. They're missing even the Jabril Peppers now. Like, they don't have that guy, and they need him.
Guys like that. They've had a couple guys get drafted off that D-line going 15th, 16th overall. We just saw it this year with the Vikings. I can't remember what his name was.
But they're not competing on the football field. They're not fast enough. They're not strong enough. Our wide receivers aren't as talented. Our running backs aren't as good. Our quarterbacks aren't as good. So even if your classes are up there, when the guys get here, they're not living up to expectation.
Yeah, that's a coaching problem.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a ability to scout with your recruiting as well. Because there's thousands of kids. You have to be able to pick the best from the bunch. You can't get guys who get there and all of a sudden they can't handle even a college practice, which with half of these guys is what it seems like it is. I mean, they've built a decent running back room and they've had okay quarterbacks, but this isn't a school or a program for decent running back rooms and okay quarterbacks. You're supposed to be harboring and playing with the elite of the elite. And that was the expectation. You can say maybe we had him at an unfair expectation, but he hasn't even come close to it. I mean, he hasn't even been near that level. And sure, the problem is also coaching. I have my thoughts on coaching. Like I just said, they're running this old school style offense that just doesn't work in the modern day. It's just like shooting the 3-point line in basketball. There's more efficient ways to do it. And passing the ball with a star quarterback is how you do it. We saw it this year in the playoffs. You had Justin Fields, you were going to have Tua, and you had Trevor Lawrence. I mean, the quarterback position is important. He's just to kind of keep rambling, since I feel like I'm in a ramble mood. He's supposed to be this quarterback guru, and the best quarterback we've had here in his tenure is Jake Rudock. He can't develop anybody to be better than Jake Rudock?
Jake Rudock went pro. I mean, he didn't win games, but
sure, but he was average. I mean, he went pro because he's a good decision maker. He didn't have an NFL arm. Nobody ever thought he was gonna be a real starter. He barely made Lions.
Is a similar recruit to Tom Brady?
Jake Rudock?
Yeah, good decision maker.
Yeah, it's the exact. No, I mean that was kind of the running joke going into that draft was, hey, this Michigan quarterback who's got kind of a baby arm and isn't super athletic, he's a good decision maker. You might have a 6th-round Tom Brady right there, but it didn't work. We picked him up, let him be our backup for a little bit at the Lions, and he actually was okay in preseason. But that arm is just too little. He just doesn't have enough behind it.
What are you gonna do if not Harbaugh? Where are you gonna go?
I don't. Young.
You admit defeat?
Like no, but that doesn't mean that you just stick with a guy who's not getting the job done. If Michigan goes again this year, wins, let's say everything works out normal, they play their normal schedule, wins 9 games, loses to Ohio State, beats Michigan State, doesn't make a Big Ten championship, it's another year of failure. And it's another year of probably not being that close. My expectation for the Michigan football program no longer is to become the best team in the Big Ten every year, because I actually do agree with you there that that's probably close to impossible, because you do have Ohio State has such a far head start on you, but you have to be able to compete year in, year out. You can't be getting blown out by 40.
Yeah.
I mean, that is all that matters as a Michigan fan most years.
There's what they can do is every year there's like 1 or 2 random like floater teams in that top 4 or 5, and it's like Notre Dame. It's like, I don't know, I guess LSU kind of this year, although LSU is a great program. Penn State, Wisconsin. There's like this little kind of glut of second level college teams right now, and they need to be asserting, in my opinion, a more realistic goal is to assert your dominance over that second group of teams, and they haven't even done that. They're like, if anything, in the middle bottom of that pack of teams.
Right, exactly, which I guess further proves my point. Like there's unreal expectations, there's realistic expectations, which is probably what you just said. And they haven't even been able to get to that middle ground and start climbing the mountain. They're still taking the plane over to the base of the mountain. Now they have to start climbing it. But it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to do it because there's no offensive skill. There's no big play ability ever. And now you lost Donovan Peoples-Jones, who is your only guy who can make a big play. The in-state recruiting is going down. You're going to miss the 2 kids from Clarkston, who are both top 100 players in the country. Both of them are probably going to go to Notre Dame. You better get Donovan Edwards. You better get Donovan Edwards out of West Bloomfield because you need a running back for this class. And all the other running backs you were recruiting basically said they don't want to come here anymore because we were going to get Donovan Edwards. Now we're not even 100% sure about that. But it's a mess, man. It's a mess. And sure, a mess. To be a mess at this school, you get to finish in the top 10 once out of every 4 years. But it's not good, and it's not getting better. I don't expect next year's team has no indication that it's going to be better than this year's team. Actually, there's quite a lot to say that it's going to be worse.
Let's move on.
Let's do it. Oh, I have one more question on this first for you. It's just college football related. Currently a 4-team playoff, and this is kind of it'd be kind of a crutch for Michigan, I guess. But what do you think about an 8 or a 16-team playoff?
I think that why would you do that? Because teams are complaining about missing the playoff?
Because there's 155 Division I schools and 4 teams make the playoffs.
I think that college football is already dangerous and already kind of useless in ways. Like, I don't need more of it. I'm not a college football guy, and I know that maybe makes this segment a little reductive. But
I don't think you'd be getting more of it because all you would be doing is replacing bowl games with playoff games.
Yeah, but like Alabama then is going to be playing like a 15, 16 game season. And so is Clemson, and probably so is Ohio State.
Okay, so 2 games added onto the season. An 8-team playoff, then. You had 1 game to the season. I think that's perfect. I think 8 is where it should be. I know we're kind of off topic here, but I think 8's perfect. You get to have all the conference champions, and you get some of the lower conference schools in there if they're having a great year. But anyways, let's move on to that.
He wants me to go up to 6, and that's it.
6? 6 feels weird to me. I like 8. We'll rock, paper, scissors for it later. But let's move on to the NBA draft.
Yeah, we're going to get into the NBA draft now. The good stuff. The deep stuff.
The good stuff. So
I have a note here. Where'd it go? I have a note from earlier in the show that I think Tampa Bay actually makes a lot of sense because that's already how people from Florida pronounce it because they don't have any teeth. So let's not it.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave that one there. It's funny though. But on to the NBA draft. Your Detroit Pistons finally, after a decade of mediocrity, made a decision and went for the tank. They traded Andre Drummond for a bag of chips and Brandon Knight, who turned out to be for like 10 games like a great point guard somehow.
Yeah, he can be a point guard. So is John
whatever. Give them both 1 year, $4 million next year. I don't care. $4
million
in a second round pick in 2074 or something like that we got. But to me, that move was perfect. Does a lot for you. What happened from that point of the season to the stoppage of play was your team went from the 10th worst team in the league to the 5th worst team in the league, which increases your odds at the number 1 pick exponentially. It's hugely important. Hugely. So they finally made a decision, and they were like a game and a half out of being in that top 3, which all have 14% chance for the number 1 pick, but it's okay. Even in a weird draft at 5, you're going to have options. And I know, you might not be looking this year, even with the number 1 pick, at a Zion Williamson or a Luka Doncic, but those guys don't come along every year, and you can't bank on getting those guys to build your team right away. You hopefully during this tank will run into one of those guys, Imoni Bates, but you can't bank on it. And I think there's options. Like the good part about the position they're in, they don't have to pick a guard, they don't have to pick a forward, and hopefully they don't pick a center. But they could pick a center if what was that?
Isn't Christian Wood supposed to be the center?
Yeah, but we can run Christian Wood at power forward. He's shooting high 30% from 3, so you just have height, athleticism. You're cutting out. I'm sorry.
Is Blake Griffin your center?
Forgot about Blake Griffin. But either way, you have a developmental piece, so you probably don't want to go down low. You probably don't want a power forward or a center, but you can take them. Like at this point, Blake Griffin's got a year. A guy you're getting at 5 in this year's draft isn't necessarily going to be a starter right off rip. You hope he is, but he's not necessarily going to be a starter right away. So again, I'd probably stray away from down low, but you at least have options down there of guys you can build for the future with. And I know one, and I want to just get your thoughts on him right away because he's our favorite prospect, at least my favorite prospect. I think he's your favorite prospect, and he seems to be quite a bit of Pistons Twitter favorite prospect. And that is Killian Hayes, the 6'5", 215-pound French point guard. First one, just give me your thoughts on him.
If he can, it's going to depend on how long it takes NBA defenses to figure out that he can only go left, and then it's going to depend on how quick he can learn to go left a little. Not even a lot, but just like beyond the like Zoolander level of like I have to go right 3 times or whatever. If he can get there, and then we've really got something. But
yeah, because going to the right, he might be the best player in the draft, and going to the left, he might be like the 20th best player in the draft. Like there is a large difference. It's a guy who this half of his body just doesn't quite work the way he wants it to yet, but that's fine because he's 6'5" and he's 18. He doesn't understand how to use his body yet. Like 80% of these NBA guys don't. But like you said, elite vision. Elite going to the right, an elite playmaker, a good defender with a ton of room to grow with his wingspan and his height. He can pretty much pick up 1 through 3, I think, when his prime comes. He'll be able to pick up point, shooting guard, or small forward.
Yeah.
Maybe not for a whole game, but on a possession-by-possession basis.
6'6", he's got 6'10" wingspan, then maybe, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He isn't super strong to me. He seems like he has a guard's body.
Right, which the strength will come in time, though. Just like with Sekou, just like with and then you have the opposite side of that with guys like Thon Maker, where it never comes, but the strength will come.
Watching Thon Maker run makes me nervous.
It looks like his legs are about to snap in half every time. But the stat for Killian Hayes that excites me the most is 2 years ago on 2.5 attempts per game, he shot 19% from three. Last year or this year, over 10 games, so smaller sample size, but 4.5 3-pointer attempts per game, he shot 39%, which is a 20% increase, not to mention his top level free throw shooting, which if I could pull up here,
Free throw shooting is
I can tell you exactly what he's shooting.
our favorite statistic to judge raw shooting ability. There's a lot of evidence out there that is a direct correlation to how you'll shoot in the pros. Even if like your 3-pointer percentage isn't there, if your free throws are good, then it seems like they can teach you. So what's killing
Right, it seems like teachability. Now, I'm sorry, you're cutting out again.
What's his free throw percentage?
I'm trying to pull it up. Now, while I pull it up, the thing that is his Griffin. And I know it probably wouldn't be for like multiple, but just to be able to start and learn an NBA pick and roll with a guy with that much athleticism, even though it's, less than it was obviously, but that much athleticism, that high of an IQ, and just basketball. Last year he shot 91% from the free throw.
There you go. That's what we're looking for. Sorry.
Which is all you can dream about, again, from that stat we're talking about where free throw shooting indicates future ability to shoot. The evidence backs it up, but I am bought in on Killian Hayes. He's either my second or third prospect in this draft. I either have him second or third. I have to decide, but I think he's third.
I like him at third. I think that he's a prospect that a lot of that pro scouts seem kind of divided on. I've seen him as high as 1 on some big boards. I've seen him as low as like 7 or 8. I would say most of them have him at 5 or 6, but at 5, man.
I feel, that's a steal to me because there's LaMelo Ball's probably gonna go in front of him. Good. I don't want LaMelo Ball. James Wiseman probably gonna go in front of him. So there's a chance he falls perfectly into your lap if you're the Pistons. It's a great guy to start a rebuild with or to continue a rebuild with. Him and Sekou, the all French team, I'm buying in.
I'll tell you a pick I'm almost certain about. The Warriors are going to be like the second or third pick, right?
Right now they're 1.
If they're not one, and I think Anthony Edwards is probably going to go first. It seems like that's kind of where everybody has all the drafts going. So if like whoever gets first and the Warriors get second or third, and even if they're first, I don't think there's any chance the Warriors pass on Deni Avdija from Israel.
Really?
That's exactly what they're missing.
Well, see, my thought was James Wiseman for the Warriors.
Doesn't he play the same position as Draymond?
No, he's a 7'1" center, so he'll probably eventually be able to play the 4, be a huge 4, but he's playing center right now, and he's an offensive rebounding machine. He's a rim protecting machine. He's a little bit immature on the basketball court, but again, most of these guys are, if not all of them. I just think that's the perfect. Imagine if you took Andrew Bogut from those teams a few years ago and made him like a athletic 12-12 guy.
I think that just kind of makes him Clint Capella, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense to me. Clint Capella probably a little bit better with the ability to stretch the floor a little bit more eventually. He's not there yet. We thought he was coming out of high school, but he's not there yet. But James Wiseman, I actually would also, if I was the Warriors, take Anthony Edwards over Deni Avdija, or however the hell you say it, just because I'm not super bought in on Deni, but Anthony Edwards to me is like you can put him anywhere on a basketball court and it's going to work.
I think, okay, ready? Here it comes. I'm talking soccer for a second.
Hey.
One of the things about like the European soccer system is their high-level recruits. It doesn't work the same way it does here with other sports. Like in America, if you want to play basketball, you have to go all the way through high school and you have to go to year college, meaning that the youngest that you can be in the NBA is like a young 18, and that's the best case scenario. These kids, if they're good enough, European soccer recruiting style, they're going to play at 15, 16, 17 years old in the best possible leagues. So this kid, Deni Avdija, has been running the floor with like this team from Israel. They're playing in the Champions League. They play Barcelona in basketball. They play all the teams that you're supposed to play if you're a really good European basketball team. Panathinaikos, Celtic, I think. But his number one ability is his ability to run the floor. He's 6'9", he runs the floor, he's long, he's got that 7-foot wingspan. He checks every Warriors box for the exact way they want to run their offense. Run and pass to Klay Thompson, and he's wide open because I'm going to the basket, and they went out to Klay Thompson, so I'm dunking the ball. That's the way their offense works. He just fits in so perfectly.
So I agree. I just think he fits in a spot where they don't have as much need, right? So he fits in great, but it's a spot where they don't have need. Whereas at center, they don't really have anybody.
My belief is that they're fine playing Draymond as a center and playing small ball.
But you can't do that full time. I mean, small ball is pretty much. I mean, I guess the Rockets are doing it right now, but even that started to fall apart towards the back end of that.
When Kevin Durant was on the team, it was Kevin Durant wasn't the center; it was Draymond. And even when they would run that death lineup, and it wasn't all the time. You're right. But you and I both believe you can find a center.
But how much is Denny really going to be touching the ball in that Warriors offense, or even be a part of it?
He'll be taking wide open threes and running the floor. No play defense. He's long. He blocks.
Well, so like, here's the part that scares me. This year he played 14 minutes a game and averaged 4 points. I don't take European stats into account a whole ton, but 14 minutes a game and 4 points a game just scares me like a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's not Luka, but
no, which I don't think anybody would tell you he is.
Passing on, and I know we're entering Darko Milicic territory, but so I want to steer around it because I just don't need that right now. Not taking a chance on the European guys has been not awesome strategy for a few years now.
Yeah, pretty much ever since Jan Vesely.
I just think, like, for a raw guy like that to come in and learn from those guys and that coaching staff and that organization how to be a professional, how to play basketball, I just like the fit. I think that's a fit that makes a lot of sense for that team, and I think it gives them something that they don't have right now. Who's their forward right now?
So they're Eric Pascal.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this comparison? If he worked out, got at least close to his ceiling in that Warriors offense, he is like the Miami Heat version of Mike Miller for them, but like a little bit more athletic.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think his potential is higher than that, but I think it's probably pretty close to that.
Yeah. And Mike Miller, like, again, Miami Heat's old Mike Miller, so like turn back the clock a couple years, but the same style of player. Now, to me,
but yeah, his stroke is nice. Sorry.
To me, the most controversial player of this draft by far is LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I mean, there's some obvious strengths that are, elite level strengths, which is why you see him going in the top 5. But that's his passing ability, his vision, and his ceiling on defense, right? With that size and length. He's a 6'7" dude. He's got crazy length. He knows how to move around. He's in good shape. He looks like I said earlier, some of these guys don't understand their body yet. LaMelo Ball looks like somebody who really knows how to use it and use his height, use his size, use his strength. But he can't score the basketball. Like, I know we've all seen videos of LaMelo Ball in 10th grade pulling up from half court and scoring 100 points in a game. But you put him in Australia, which is not a horrible league. It's probably like the 5th or 6th best league in the world. And he can't score. He didn't shoot 40% from the field, and he shot 25% from 3. Like, really? To me, he's going to be a worse version of his brother. Like, at best.
He doesn't really seem to have, I don't know, like when you watch Lonzo play, there's an intrinsic, like, whoa factor that guy has when you watch him play. And I don't really see that from LaMelo, but I don't want to be the guy who compares a player to his brother. You got to look at what LaMelo is now. He's 6'7", and he says all those things. He passes. He can't really shoot. Maybe if he gets picked up, if the expectations aren't there, he could be a good player. But I don't see him as anything more than like a bench guy.
Yeah, and he could turn himself, like, the problem is, where is the market for a pass first point guard right now? Like a true pass first point guard. I'm talking a guy who's only scoring, not like a Chris Paul where they can still put up 20, like a guy who's going to be putting up 10, 11 points a game, shooting 40% from the field and passing it 85% of the time. That guy just doesn't really fit in the modern NBA anymore.
I think he might if he's like kind of the way LaMelo is. If he can learn to play defense and guard people his size, then maybe he's like an interesting. He has to go. He's gonna have to go to the right team, man. And I don't know.
I agree.
Maybe
I think small market, somewhere where the pressure isn't going to be as high. People aren't like, if we get a second run of LeVar Ball, people aren't going to care as much because he's in Minnesota or something like that. Obviously, Minnesota's not picking that high, but I just every time I watch this guy, I just get kind of turned off. If people don't like watching James Harden play, they're really, really not going to like LaMelo Ball playing. And it's not even that they're similar styles, but just like they do things that a lot of people are going to take as super fucking annoying. And you just can't be pulling from 35 whenever you want when you're shooting 25% from three. You can't be shooting 20 shots a game when you're shooting 40% from the field. But like you said, if he can turn himself into like an elite defender, then he'll have a spot anywhere because he'll be able to switch 1 through 4. Some elite defender with some good strength, and he is where he needs to be. But those aren't small things to add. Yeah. And then you'll still be asking him to add a jump shot after that. So I'm selling all stock on LaMelo Ball. I wouldn't take him in the top 6.
I don't want him at all. I would take him. I might take a chance on him at 5. I don't know.
The board would have to be Anthony Edwards, Killian Hayes, Obi Toppin, and like Tyrese Halliburton for me to take him at 5.
Yeah, you're a lot higher, I think, on Tyrese Halliburton than I am.
Oh, yeah, that's like that to me. That's going to be the fully actualized LaMelo Ball.
Maybe
like he's 6'5" with a 7-foot wingspan. He's just like reaching across the world. He could hug you if he wanted to right now. He could give you a hug. I mean, I'm all about it. I know he went to Iowa State. Nobody's watching Iowa State games, but his weakness right now.
Iowa State games.
His weakness right now is shooting the 3. He shot 42% from 3 last year. Why is this guy not a bigger prospect?
How many threes was he shooting a game?
I'm sorry?
How many threes was he shooting a game?
Like 2.5, 3.
Okay.
It's like a decent sample size. I just don't I don't understand how you can find a 6'5" guy with a 7-foot wingspan who's pass first, but he also shoots 40% from 3. And people are like, I don't know, he could go like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. To me, this is a top 5 guy, and it should be a lock. It should be a lock. He's going to be a defensive nightmare. He's going to be a passing nightmare. And hopefully, eventually, he's one of the better shooters at the position.
What's his position? Is he a 1 or a 2? I'm sorry.
He's a 1. He's a 6'5" point guard. So he's the same size as Killian Hayes with a longer wingspan.
The stuff that I've seen hasn't really impressed me the way other stuff has. For my notes for Tyrese Halliburton, I just wrote the word buzzer, which is like my way of going, like I'm out on that guy.
Oh, really? Dude. All right, I got a stat that might get you to buy back in a little bit to show that he's using that reach effectively. Yeah. I'm normally not a big steals per game guy, but when you see a guy in college averaging 2.5 steals a game, that's a lot. That's like
your Linko shit.
That's just, he's all over you all the time. Like, you can't escape that guy. I'm all the way bought in. I would not be mad if the Pistons took him at 5. I wouldn't be mad.
Oh, man.
All right, who would you rather have, Cole Anthony or Halliburton?
Halliburton. I am not a Cole Anthony guy. I don't think he makes it in the NBA.
He's a college player. He's a college.
Anytime the question for the guy is his body big and fit enough to play in the NBA? For me, that's a big question mark. Because guys who don't make it, you know?
Right. And the one skill, if you're not big, fast, or strong enough, that you have to have is you got to be a lights out shooter. And I mean lights out. You can't be good. Yeah. You have to be great. And he's not that. He's a good shooter. He's okay. He's not great.
He's probably like the captain of a G League team. Or like,
yeah.
Could he be Brandon Knight? Maybe. But do you want to do that with your 8th pick? I wouldn't.
No. Just like the Pistons did, you mean? Like they took Brandon Knight with the 8th pick?
Yeah, I was kind of going to just leave that there.
Now the guy I bought in on today, it happened like a couple hours ago. I was kind of sold, and then I just did a deep dive. I spent like an hour and a half just watching Obi Toppin all day today.
Obi Toppin's pretty cool.
He's fun as hell. He's a spark plug, man. He's the definition of a spark plug. He is either going to get you a big dunk or a big shot or a big block or a big defensive play, but everything you need to switch momentum, he's one of those guys that can do it.
Yep.
And I don't know if he's going to be a star. I don't even know if his ceiling is quite a star, but he could be a damn good player.
I think he's kind of an Aaron Gordon type, right?
Yeah, but if you made Aaron Gordon probably a better shooter, right? If you gave Aaron Gordon the opportunity, like if Aaron Gordon was 5% better from three, and you got to think about all the ways that affects his game in other ways, but he's a top 25 guy in the league.
I like his movement off the ball. Obi Toppin is active. You know, he's like big boy Rip Hamilton almost in a lot of ways, I feel like.
Yeah, and he doesn't take bad shots ever.
No. High percent.
63% from the field this year. 63%, and that's a guy who was taking over 2 threes a game.
It would be tough to find a way where at the 5th pick the Pistons don't end up with either Obi Toppin or Killian Hayes. And either one of those things I think I'm good with. The only question for me with Obi Toppin, as it's specific to the Pistons, is what's his role in his first year? Is he like Blake Griffin's backup?
So I think how you pretty much are going to run it is he's coming off the bench as your small forward, power forward backup behind what would hopefully be Sekou and Blake. And then once Blake leaves, you find out if he'd be the better four, because he is 6'9", 220, is athletic. He can probably play the 3, especially in modern ball. If he gets like a really good jump shot, he'll be able to play the 3. So then you find out, will Sekou or Obi Toppin be your better 4? I actually think it'll be Sekou. But like that's a hell of a forward matchup with the ability and potential to be able to do both of them, to be able to do every single thing on a basketball court.
He's going to be fun. He's going to be an NBA player. He's going to be around for a few years. He does all the work ethic stuff that you want. He's exactly the kind of guy that Dwayne Casey molds. I feel that way about Killian Hayes too, that Dwayne Casey and Killian Hayes would be, he's the only guy in the NBA who has this much experience, like molding French players behind,
Yeah. I know. I'm bought in. I mean, we've talked about should Dwayne Casey be here for much longer? Should he not? And this is one of those things that you want him to be here for. Yeah. Any one of these guys, I'd rather have them with Dwayne Casey than just about anybody in the league. The one thing that worries me about Obi Toppin, though, real quick, is just his footwork on defense more so than on offense. But he looks like he's stuck in the mud half the time. He's just a little bit slow with his feet. But again, that's one of those things, as I've mentioned 5 times already, that comes from a guy not understanding how to use his 6'9", 220-pound frame when he's barely 20 years old.
He's playing at the University of Dayton. What do you think their weight room situation is?
Yeah, it's definitely not Kentucky. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
it's not
Kentucky. I don't want to talk about Dayton too much, max schools, but
no. And hey, they've put together a hell of a basketball program too. We're not hating. They compete. Most years you see them in the tournament. But here's what I see with Obi Toppin: a mixture of Trevor Ariza and the Kansas version Thomas Robinson. So not the professional Thomas Robinson, but the Kansas version of Thomas Robinson that went toe to toe with Anthony Davis.
I don't see a whole ton of Trevor Ariza. He seems nastier to me than Trevor Ariza.
No, for sure. It's not a perfect comparison, but when you mix those two guys together, because the nastiness comes from Thomas Robinson, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
That's where that the nastiness and the some of the athleticism and the yamming ability comes from Thomas Robinson, where pretty much the instincts, the off-ball movement, and the three-point shooting comes from Trevor Ariza. But if you put those two guys together, I think you have Obi Toppin. He might be their love child.
Obi Toppin at 5 would be great. Killian Hayes at 5, great. James Wiseman at 5. Would you take James Wiseman at 5? I would.
Again, if I was any other team in the league, I'm probably taking Wiseman 5. If I'm the Pistons, I have a really, really hard time trading away Andre Drummond to draft Andre Drummond.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like that just doesn't make sense.
A prohibitive contract is a much more useful player.
Well, that's true, but if you remember rookie and sophomore year Andre Drummond, he wasn't exactly what he is now. So, did we miss anybody?
we talk much about Anthony Edwards? If the Pistons are one, would you pick Anthony Edwards?
That's my pick all day. There's no discussion to be had. He shot 30% from three last year at Georgia and somehow was still the best shooter on the court every single game. My worry is he's an eye test guy, and eye test guys a lot of the time don't work out. That's my only concern with Anthony Edwards.
Okay, I got two Obi Toppin notes that I didn't read. The first one is that he played mostly center at Dayton, which I think is interesting. The second one is I wrote that he looks like Blake Griffin, but like in the video games, if you like adjusted his sliders a little bit, he's almost kind of like young Blake Griffin in a lot of ways. I feel like.
I like that. Take away a little bit of athleticism, put some more of the old sprinkle. Take away some young Blake, sprinkle some old Blake on it.
Yeah, he's kind of.
I like that.
Blake Griffin type player.
No, I'll take Obi Toppin because of the versatility. Like versatility is how you build an NBA team now, and that guy has versatility written all over him. So I'm all for that. But yeah, Anthony Edwards, number one pick for me. He showed up in big games. He's got the killer to him. I mean, he dropped 37 versus Michigan State, dropped 23 on Kentucky, dropped 26 on Tennessee. Every time there was a big game, that guy showed up. And he's kind of getting that Ben Simmons treatment of Georgia went like 19 and 17 or some shit like that. But it doesn't matter. Like, there was no other talent on that team to be able to keep up with Anthony Edwards.
I think that the NCAA has a real problem coming its way. We just saw it, with Michigan, like earlier today, right? Players are opting to defer out of the NCAA and to play over in Europe. I'm surprised more players haven't taken the G League approach. That to me seems something that makes a lot of sense for a lot of guys. I mean, G Leaguers are no players.
I mean, the reason is the pay scale. In the G League, you're getting $75,000 a year in Spain. Like when Brandon Jennings went to China, he got $1 million.
Yeah.
When Emmanuel Mudiay went to China, he got a couple $1 million. So I think it's just the money. But the NBA really has a chance to like make something out of the G League if they step that money up and started giving these guys out of college or these guys out of high school the ability to go play, be on a stage that's similar to the NBA and start learning how to be a pro right away.
It feels like we're a few years away from the NBA just kind of being like, look, come out of high school or wait 2 years,
Yeah. Yeah, so
the NCAA keeps pushing it off onto them. The NBA is like, no, thank you. But I think eventually they're just going to make their choice.
I totally meant to talk to you about this during the Michigan basketball debate, but I was thinking this everything that's going on right now could push all the plans for the NBA back a couple years. Mm-hmm. So let's say the high school draft, the switch to what you just said, either straight out of high school or 2 years of college. Let's say that draft, which was supposed to be 2022, gets pushed back a year. Now, all of a sudden, Modi Bates has to do a year of college. And it's Michigan, Michigan State, or Duke. Like, those are the three. If I got to watch Modi Bates in a Michigan jersey and then a Pistons jersey, I don't think I could ever watch sports again after that because I don't think I would find a higher peak.
You'd be like a Red Sox fan after winning the World Series.
Exactly.
This year? Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, anyways, NBA draft, the Pistons have options. They could also trade, guys. This isn't the strongest draft ever.
I don't want that. Don't put it in the world.
It's not my first pick, but if somebody really wants to sneak into the top 5, if somebody falls in love with LaMelo Ball and he's sitting there and wants to offer you 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, I'm taking it. As long as it's a bad team. It's got to be a bad team.
No, thank you.
All right. Whoever's picking number 9, let's just say they still do the lottery. We get 5. Somebody's at 9. The team at number 9 offers you the 9th pick, their next year's first, this year's second, and they have 2 seconds this year. Do you accept that to move down to 9?
I'm at 9. My best case scenario is I get Isaac Okoro, who's basically destined to be like the 6th guy on your 7th guy on your roster forever.
Okay, that's fair. But then you also move in. You have 2 first-round picks next year, though, so it's a long-term move. But I'm not worried about the talent next year.
I want my picks now.
Okay, that's fair. I get that.
And the Pistons need it. They need it.
I know they need an influx. They just need some young talent, just a little bit of young talent. And they got some cool pieces. Like they got a Bruce Brown, got a Sekou, they got a Luke Kennard.
Well, Sekou's pretty cool.
Yeah, Sekou, you know how everybody should know how I feel about Sekou. I think that's Paul George light. Eventually, take your Pascal Siakam comparisons and shove them down a drain because he's Paul George light. But we're in a good position. So that's
like,
for the
like bigger Paul George. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Bigger than he actually is.
Yeah, every time, like I don't know what it is specifically because the shot form isn't even that much similar, but every time I see him take a jump shot, I go, "Yep, Paul George, Paul George," and he's got the physicality, he's got the defense. So number 5 pick, Sekou Doumbouya, Luke Kennard, Bruce Brown. Hopefully you're a bottom 5 team again next year, but that's okay because you still have young talent, you're still growing. You have your building blocks in Luke Kennard and Bruce Brown, and you have your cornerstones in the number 5 pick in Sekou Doumbouya. So you're on that path that you need to be.
And you've got Blake Griffin.
And you've got Blake Griffin, hopefully for not much longer, though.
Hopefully. I think we're getting Christian Wood, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much paying him whatever.
Yeah, right?
Whatever. I mean, I don't even care if he wants $15 million a year. I'll give him 15 for 2 years or 3 years. Because it's not like we're going to be good in the next 3 years. Might as well not lose a guy for nothing.
I think you could that could be a year where you push for the 8th seed in the playoffs in a good way. Because you've got your
No, I don't want to though. I don't want to.
Yeah, but like when Blake Griffin's contract is gone and they've got their young players and they're looking for another young player or they're looking for something. I don't really care like once that contract is gone where they're at in the draft. I mean, then it becomes who can you get to play with your young guys, you know?
No, for sure. If somebody offered you, and I know the numbers probably wouldn't work out with any team, but if somebody offered you a 2nd round pick straight up for Blake Griffin, would you take it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you gotta like a couple people have to come into the games, you know.
Why do we care about that? It's not like they're making any money off the stadium, dude. We're seeing it right now. The money they're worried about is the TV deal. They will happily play in front of no fans because that money is minuscule compared.
The deal, it's the China money, it's the NBA worldwide or whatever it is. Yeah.
All right, so you're on the pick right now with 5. The top 4 picks were Anthony Edwards. Let's see. Anthony Edwards, Obi Toppin, Denny Avdija, and LaMelo Ball were the top 4 picks. Your pick's Killian Hayes, I assume?
And I'm running to the platform to do it.
Okay, good. Then we're on the same page.
Killian Hayes in my hand, and then I'm turning and I'm handing it to him, and he says, the Pistons are on the clock. I'm not even
Okay, good. We're on the same page then. All right, so we have kind of a fun game to play with you guys this week. Just to kind of close out the show, give you guys a nice little easy ending. You've heard of fuck one, marry one, kill one, but we're going to change it to start one, bench one, cut one.
And so for the viewers at home, what that game is that you just mentioned, I've never heard of it.
Okay, so we have 3 names, typically to do with sports, but not all of these will do with sports because I got some curveballs to throw at you. You have to start one, which would be the starter on your team, bench one, the guy who'd get benched on your team, and cut one, the guy you would get off the roster completely. So you try to make the names at like able to be compared on a similar level. So for example, I'll give you the first one. Start one, bench one, cut one. Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Butler, and Chris Middleton.
I'll tell you who I'm going to cut. I'm cutting Chris Middleton. Sorry, dog. I'm cutting Chris Middleton. And I think what am I trying to win? Am I trying to win one-on-one? Is it like an aliens come to Earth and I need somebody to captain my team?
Yes. Yeah. One game.
Jimmy Butler, baby. Give me Jimmy Butler just like yelling at everybody in a pickup game. Work harder. That's what I want.
Okay. I dig that. I think I'd probably go the same. Now this one I thought was going to be tough for you, but now after our last discussion, I don't think it's going to be tough. And that's Killian Hayes, LaMelo Ball, and Cole Anthony.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm for sure. I'm cutting Cole Anthony, and I'm drafting Killian Hayes.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm really pretty okay. So there's like you can be a smaller point guard in the NBA and be fine. There's another point guard in the draft. How do you say his last name? Nico Mannion.
Mannion.
Nico Mannion, who it seems like is like destined to uphold the like T.J. McConnell, Jason Williams, like best third guard in the league role, right? But I don't even think Cole Anthony can do that because of the style of play he has.
And the size will kill him. Yeah. Spider-Man, The Flash, and Green Lantern.
I'm starting. Who am I fighting? Like Brainiac or something?
You are fighting other members of the Justice League.
Okay, then I'm starting Spider-Man, and I'm cutting the Flash, and I'm benching Green Lantern.
You're cutting the Flash?
Yeah, if I'm fighting Superman, what good does the Flash do me, dude?
The Flash can't be touched. The Flash can't be seen. The Flash is quicker than the speed of light at times. You're starting the Flash. You're getting him the Jordan deal. The Flash 4s, man. You seen those bad boys with the little wings? Dude, I'm starting the Flash. I'm benching Green Lantern, and I hate to say this. I apologize to my boy, but I'm cutting Spider-Man. What is Spider-Man going to do if I'm fighting Superman in an open field?
Well, okay, wait a minute. Are we in an open field?
Now we are.
Oh, well, then I'm probably taking Green Lantern, and I'm going underground.
Ooh, okay. I mean, Green Lantern is probably the right one to start because you could just, like, create anything you want. But anyways.
You create kryptonite if you're Green Lantern? These are the questions.
I think so, but we're going to have to do a deep dive on that one at a later time. Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
So if it's like today or whatever, we're
everybody's healthy.
One game, gotta win it. I'm starting Kawhi Leonard, and I'm benching Kevin Durant, and I'm gonna cut Giannis.
Wow.
And the reason why is that Kawhi Leonard is the mercenary. He's the guy you call to win one game. And Kevin Durant, I think, has kind of become a little underrated, actually, because of his injury and because of the
I agree
that he puts out into the world.
So Kawhi has one great playoff run, and he is now the mercenary of the league?
He's had a couple pretty good runs, man.
He's had good runs, but he's had one great run.
Yeah.
Even his first finals MVP, he was good. He wasn't great.
Oh, I disagree. I thought he was great.
I'm cutting Kawhi Leonard. I'm starting Kevin Durant. I'm benching Giannis, and I'm cutting Kawhi Leonard. Get his ass out of here. I need somebody who knows how to communicate with my teammates. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson.
Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. Well, if we're playing football, I'm cutting Aaron Rodgers because he's an asshole.
Okay.
And then I'm probably starting Patty Mahomes. I mean, if you got to win one game, you don't want him to have too much tape. You want to be able to try some things, be able in the moment to make weird decisions. I think Patty Mahomes gives me the most versatility to do that with. And
I'm starting Patty Mahomes. Now, I have trouble here because this year I've really kind of sold some stock on Aaron Rodgers, excuse me. But I've really sold some stock on him. I thought he was not the best, not a top 5 quarterback in the league this year. And a lot of that has to do with his wide receiver core and his offense. But he did have a sweet running game and he had an okay defense.
Wait. That's partially his fucking fault.
I agree 100%. That's like, I'm getting there. I agree with you, which is why I would start Russell Wilson. As of this year, I think Russell Wilson or bench Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is a better quarterback right now than Aaron Rodgers.
He was in the last couple weeks of the season for sure. Russell Wilson was fucking hot as hell.
I agree. Now, we'll see if maybe Aaron Rodgers can get a nice little offensive piece in this draft, a nice wide receiver or something. We'll see from there. But as of right now, Russell Wilson's on my bench. Okay, I got a baseball one for you. Start one, bench one, cut one. Okay. Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Trout.
This is actually pretty easy for me, I think. I'm going to start Mike Trout. I'm going to bench Ken Griffey Jr. I'm going to cut Barry Bonds.
Oh, okay. We're opposite, pretty much. Well, not opposite. I'm going to start.
I got to put a disclaimer for the viewers at home. I'm not a huge baseball guy.
Okay, well, that's fair. I am going to start Barry Bonds. I think that's the single greatest player ever in the history of baseball. I'm going to bench Mike Trout. I think that's the second greatest player ever in the history of baseball. And I'm going to cut Ken Griffey Jr., who I think might be the third greatest player ever in the history of baseball. But
Barry Bonds am I getting? Am I getting juiced up Barry Bonds, or am I getting Barry Bonds with a normal-sized head?
I don't think it matters. Either one is the best player in baseball. You're just getting 40 steals and 40 home runs instead of 70 home runs and no steals.
The biggest bird just flew right by.
Fine, we're going to say roided up Barry Bonds.
Raptors outside my window right now.
Did it just fly into your window?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I got 2 more for you, and then we're going to wrap it up.
I got one for you. Let me get one in for you.
Okay.
It's Kobe, it's James Harden, it's Kevin Durant.
One game.
One game to rule them all.
Boy, I want to start Kevin Durant, but I'm going to start Kobe. I'm going to bench Kevin Durant, and I'm going to cut Harden. Even though I want to start Kevin Durant, I just can't. I just can't do it. Even though in one-game situations, Kevin Durant has far exceeded Kobe Bryant.
I agree. I think KD's a little slept on. I think the Nets would be slept on right now.
If KD wins a title anywhere besides Golden State, he's going to end up a top 10 player of all time because he's already right there. Kendrick. You got another. One more time.
Name a thing he's not like the best at.
Well, exactly. That's he's all around, and especially what he added on defense after he got to Golden State. I mean, the dude has no weaknesses.
Cool. I agree.
Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Drake.
I'm killing Drake. I'm benching J. Cole. I'm starting Kendrick Lamar. And honestly, I think that's the easiest one that I've heard so far.
Okay, what if it's pre-2013 Drake?
It's still the same.
Still the same? Okay, if it's pre-2013 Drake, I cut J. Cole. But Drake as a whole, I cut Drake. And
I have had so many positions on what I think about Drake over the years.
And then the last and perhaps most controversial one.
Okay.
Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James.
Oh, well, this is easy. This is easy for me. If it's to win one game against an opponent, what kind of opponent am I playing against?
It's Game 7 of the NBA Finals against the 2004 Detroit Pistons. No, the 2006 Miami Heat.
So LeBron's Heat teams?
No. Dwayne Wade's for Dwayne and Shaq.
The Dwayne Wade Shaq team. Then I'm probably starting LeBron then, I think. And then I'm benching MJ, and then I'm cutting whoever the fuck Kobe. Fuck Kobe.
Damn, I was so ready for you to say somebody else. I was just going to walk off screen. You start LeBron, you bench MJ, you cut Kobe. There's one answer. Everybody at home, get it down. I'm sick of arguing with you guys when I'm working at my bar. Kobe Bryant is not on the same level as Michael Jordan and LeBron James. You start LeBron James or Michael Jordan, you bench LeBron James or Michael Jordan, and you cut Kobe every single time.
In my opinion... Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to say. I was about to really walk into the danger zone there, but I'm not.
Walk into the danger zone, man.
Into the show, and I don't need to tank a solid, like a decent show. You know.
Okay. I can rock with that.
Movie right now.
And then Parker, you do me a favor. Tell everybody at home a little bit about the Ant Theater and what they can do with the podcast network and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, cool. The Ant is a 501c3 nonprofit. They operate as a theater. I say we in the sports. It's the sports we, I think. We're working on. We have a podcast network. It has 10 shows on it. I think we're adding new shows all the time. We just added, I think, hopefully, a movie podcast specifically about WWE films, that studio and its kind of legacy of films, the Marine 2, all sorts of stuff like that. If you know, there's improv, there's classes when it's open, you know, it does all sorts of content, any content you can think of, they do it. And it's pretty cool. It's fun. It's a fun place to go, and it's a fun place to like work on stuff. So,
well, I know I appreciate the fact that they've let us do this here, and with the ease they've let us know that do this here. They've really put some trust into us, and I think we've given them some good content. But yeah, go check out the Planet Ant Podcast Network. It's planetant.com.
Planet Podcast, planetantpodcast.com.
Planetantpodcast.com. And that's pretty much all we got today.
Now taking submissions,
and that's your guy. That great head of hair you see over there, that's your guy. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to my mom. Yes, I've got all your text messages about my show, so shout out to you today. Thank you for the pictures. Also, thank you for sending my podcast to Bernie Smilovitz. That means a lot to me, so shout out, Mom. Parker, anything else from you, bud?
Bernie Smilovitz? Is that like a Bernie Sanders parody account?
It's like a Detroit radio podcast guy.
Oh, oops. Sorry for insulting you.
No. But anyways, thank you. Are we good? You're good? You have no more thoughts?
No, man. I'm fresh out of thoughts.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening. This is Fan2Fan Detroit on the Planet Ant Podcast Network and the Planet Ant YouTube channel. Give me a follow, Fan2Fan Drew or Fan2Fan Detroit. Give him a follow, Parker_Hammond, and we will see you probably next week. Peace.
Next week, same time, 6:30 Tuesdays. Cool. Bye.
On it. Bye.